Hey everyone, welcome to Annie Unleashed. Today I'm going to talk about the number one most unromantic thing that keeps the romance burning for a long time to come. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're coming back and a returning member, I thank you for your support, for your conversation, and please, I encourage you to subscribe. 90% of the people that have watched my videos are not subscribed, so it would be great if you could support and I can do more videos like this. So, let's get to it. The other day I was scrolling through my Netflix and sure enough, all of these singles videos, whether they go off to an island or they're secluded to a resort for 10 days or a couple of weeks, and they're trying to find romantic connections. And it got me thinking of all the things that they talk about, because yes, I watched a few episodes because I'm fascinated by the human behavior and how people make decisions about the people that they choose and what influences their decisions in general. I looked at what do they talk about, what don't they talk about, and heck, when I was a little girl growing up, I used to love reading romantic stories. And yes, you would read through the whole story of how they met. Maybe there was some friction, and then they went their own ways, and then they met again, and all the way through the book until they finally kissed, and the rest was just a beautiful, lovey-dovey history. That doesn't really set you up for real life. Now, it wasn't until I had a couple of my own relationship experiences that I understood real life romance versus storybook romance. And I'm going to tell you that the number one thing that these shows, these single shows, these couples shows don't talk about, or don't encourage at least, that we don't see when we're watching it as a viewer, is money. That's right, it's super unromantic, but it is such an essential part of the conversation. So how do you bring it up? I'm going to give you 3 ways, okay? Number 1, just have a casual conversation about it. Now, if you're not comfortable talking about money for whatever reason, I invite you to explore that, because if you're not comfortable talking about it now, it's going to become really uncomfortable once you're locked in, moving in together, paying bills together, maybe planning trips together or having family together. So a little bit of discomfort now will give you way more comfort later on. So how do you open up the conversation? It could be as simple as saying something like, what is the hardest part of budgeting for you? Or how do you feel about budgeting? How did your family raise you around saving, spending, and that whole thing about money? Financial planning, was that ever a part of your upbringing and what you guys talked about? Another casual way is, depending on how old you are and how serious you are about your investments and your future, do you have a financial advisor? Have you ever met with somebody and talked about how to plan for your future goals and how to save or how to do things in a really smart way so you pay less taxes and you can have more in your pocket? Has that ever been a thing for you? However you want to approach it, it's really up to you. But the point is, number 1, open up the conversation. Even if it's something as you starting with revealing something about yourself first. Hey, you know what? I've learned a lot about money over the years because there was a time when I was in a lot of debt and I was able to get out of it, but here's what I learned from it. How about you? You can start that way. Number 2, they always say that when you start dating someone, we always ask for the STD check. So they go and get tested for all kinds of STDs, and once they're clear, we're like, all right, let's get into it, right? But we never ask about credit score. Now, if you're fine with this, be direct and say, hey, here's what I need, STD check, and I'd like to know your credit score. And not just have them tell it to you, but actually show it to you. You need to see the current indicator of what their current credit score is. And if they want to show you the whole report, by all means, take a look at that. But here's why this is important. Looking at somebody's credit score as someone that you're dating is important because it reveals at least 12 months of history, maybe longer, but the credit score is pretty current and it changes month to month by a few points. So allow that to open up a conversation. No judgment, just a conversation around what is that for you, and If it's good, how'd you get there? If it's not good, how did you get there? It's not a forever situation, it's a temporary situation. So you want to understand that if the credit score is not that great, so maybe under 650, you want to understand what led to that. What are some of the decisions that they made that led to that, and what are they doing about it? You want to understand that they're working towards educating themselves, changing their habits or behaviors that led to some irresponsible behavior, or maybe they got taken advantage of. What did they learn from that? Those kinds of things. It opens up conversation. So it's not meant to be judgment, but it does give you clarity as to what their decision making, what their behaviors were before they met you, what they've learned from it. And then that leads me to number 3, which is if they're not willing to have casual conversation and they don't want to show you credit score, or even if they do, what you want to do is you want to watch and listen. You want to watch their actions and see how they're behaving around certain things. What kind of choices do they make when they're hungry? Do they just make food from home, or do they just order out? Do they order out a lot? How do they spend money for themselves and for others? Are they responsible in terms of managing the ins and the outs, the money coming in, the money that they're making from whether they have a job or a business, and the money that they're spending? And you want to listen for how are they talking about money? Are they saying, oh, it's so hard? Or, oh, I'm never going to catch up? Are they playing victim mode? If they're playing victim mode, it means that they're always at the mercy of something outside of them, meaning that they don't feel in control of their decisions, of their financial behavior. So they might be looking for an out. They might be looking for an easy explanation so that they don't have to take responsibility for their actions around money. And that's something you do want to look out for, because that's not what you want. That makes it a lot harder for you. You want somebody who's going to be responsible, even if they made mistakes. That's fine, but we learn from them. And you want somebody who's accountable, who says, yeah, I messed up, and here's what I learned. Or maybe they haven't messed up a lot, but maybe they also haven't done the work to learn about how money works. In which case you're like, hey, are you open to learning with me? I'd love to explore this, because this is something I've always been interested in too, and I want to make sure that I have financial freedom in the future and I have options, and I don't want to be burdened with debt. I want to have options in life, and I want to be able to travel and do the things that I want. So it means that I might have to work with somebody, with a financial advisor or a financial planner, and educate myself, or maybe listen to a podcast or read an article, or maybe you attend a free webinar or a class. Would you do that with me? And if they're willing, that's a good sign, I think, because willingness is really key. And then when they show up, even if they don't think they're going to learn anything, they will probably learn something with you. And most importantly, you're doing it together as a couple. So those are my 3 tips for the number 1 most unromantic thing to do in your partnership and coupledom, but that will make the romance last a lot longer. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.